Thanks for listening in, everyone. Today we have special guest, Mr. David Toth, and going to talk about his journey in the accounting industry and profession. So, David, thank you for taking time out today to speak with us, and please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing now.
Awesome, Chris. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. As you mentioned, my name is David Toth. I'm Chief Growth Officer at Winding River Consulting. Our focus is helping firms kind of transform their value and proposition, whether it relates to strategic planning, digital transformation, or leadership development. Our focus is only in the accounting profession. It's been a blast. It's a lot of fun. There's so much to learn. There's so much going on, and there's just enough to do in that space. And that's really where we're able to focus all of our time.
So now, is this something you always wanted to do? Growing up, how did you get into this profession? How did it all get started? Or did somebody impact a decision early on in your life? Or
Yeah, great question. So I think for me, my journey has been entrepreneurial. I've always kind of gone to the next step when it was meant to happen in a very, kind of unique way. Never really applied for a job. I started my first agency out of college. I sold it in 2010. Kind of won Entrepreneur of the Year at Miami of Ohio for doing that. Went to go work for a client of mine where we grew two different parts to the business. One side was on more the experiential marketing agency side. We grew that from $500,000 to about $6 million in 5 years, working with Fortune 500 companies, figuring out how to target face-to-face, leveraging digital, leveraging more of an ABM type of an approach. But then at the same time, owning events and producing events and taking value of that face-to-face interaction. And obviously the pandemic changed a lot of that. A lot of what I've done has always been kind of focusing on disruption. So when we talk about events, you can buy displays, you can rent displays. We came up with a really unique model to lease displays, no different than cars, no different than vehicles. It was very costly for larger corporations to do 1,100 event days a year. And so kind of as part of my evolution, if you will, as a professional, after that journey became fractional CMO for two really unique professional services firms. 100% of their business was focused on digital. They captured all of their opportunities using digital strategies. They had operations in place on the back end to manage those opportunities, to manage that pipeline, to manage the relationship, to have meaningful conversations. So taking that kind of overarching experience of BD and marketing, working with two firms, one CPA firm, one law firm, and then evolving into, hey, digital is a core part to strategic growth going forward for firms. So that's when Gary and I were able to sit down, get together, and realize Winding River's got a unique opportunity to take our leadership development programs, our managing partner bootcamp program. We've graduated 115 practice leaders or managing partners to date, 75 plus firms. We have a practice management conference. We have this digital conference that we've launched. Combine that with our consulting advisory practice, combine that with digital, and truly being impactful to firms going forward as it relates to how they're transforming. So that's what got me excited. That's what got me entrenched into the profession. And now really working with firms primarily in the top 400 to understand, where does digital fit into this whole conversation, whether it's HR, whether it's op, whether it's growth, whether it's attraction and retention. It's not going away. We as consumers are using it more than ever before. And so my journey has been really helping the profession to understand, where does that fit into our business going forward.
And honestly, that's awesome, because for example, I've been doing this for 5 years, and 5 years ago, I used to have to spend half of a call talking about remote work as a concept, right? I think the profession has come a long way over the last 5 years for sure, but the mindset of virtual remote workers was very hard to focus on, and then nowadays when everything moved online, and having that digital brand per se, or how to market yourself, or how to get your name out there, how to have more presence online is of utmost importance now. And so in the accounting profession needs that. I mean, I don't do the 15 minutes of a remote concept for accountants anymore. So there's been a big shift, but they need help more than ever. So that being said, how have you seen the profession over the last 5 years? How have you seen the profession grow just working with accountants, and where do you think it'll go over the next 5 years?
I mean, the reality is, and you guys know this, 2015 is when those numbers started kind of decreasing as it relates to the total number of college students taking the exam, to become part of the profession. So it was happening a long time ago, and those impacts obviously are accelerating today. Part of that because of the pandemic. You look at 5 years ago versus 3 years ago, trajectories have totally changed. A firm like the real estate CPA, all CPA, they were truly unique. Prior to the pandemic. Today, more people are starting to look at a model that requires having a digital footprint and a digital presence. So there's been so much change, there's been so much disruption, and then you add PE and M&A into the conversation, not just from how does it impact the landscape? What does the top 25, the top 50 look at? But also how it's influencing people's decision-making process on where they want to go work and what type of culture and environment need to be presented around that, right? Human capital is top of mind for every firm that we talk to today. And there's 4 ways to really start combating that kind of conversation. Outsourcing is not going away. The focus on optimization and process. We're great at adding, horrible at subtracting. So how do we do addition by subtraction? As a attraction and retention, are we millennial friendly? We're still an industry and profession managed by boomers, populated by millennials and Gen Z. And are we starting to not only have this culture conversation about what that means and looks like, but what does our office environment also need to be, and how we represent them and how we're communicating with them using digital channels as well. So all of these things are core. And then the 4th one's practice management. Are we calling clients? Are we raising fees? Are we confident in focusing on A and B? I think that's the biggest change going forward. It's the focus on who our people are, who our clients are as people, and making sure those align. And if we're able to do that confidently, we're not only going to be able to tackle part of this digital trajectory. People buy from people today. They fire firms, but they buy from people. And so having that relationship component in place is more critical than ever before.
Yeah, spot on. No, I completely agree. But I think all these changes going on in the mindsets of folks, I mean, change is constant. You could be doing the same thing for 40, 50 years, but at some point you're going to have to make some adjustments. And you can fight it, you can love it, or just simply embrace it. And I've seen that happen specifically over the last couple of years. For example, I used to have a call, right? A firm has 10 partners, there'd be 1 partner in the call. Another call, it would be 5 partners, it'd be 1 partner. Another call, it'd be 15 partners, it'd be 1 partner. Now, in all 3 instances, there's multiple, right? And you need to have everybody on the same page. Everybody's working together more cohesively. And then, they need to have, it's the millennial workforce. It's about what can your firm do for me, not what I can do for your firm type of mindset anymore. And so you need to be kind of progressive and on the leading edge to retain your talent and also, source new talent too. So now, besides working with accountants and helping them, what do you like to do outside of work? What do you like to do for fun?
Cooking. Big cooking. I got I got a sous vide, I got a smoker, I've got a big griddle in the backyard. Love cooking, try to cook as much as I possibly can. Thanksgiving's one of my favorite holidays. Love spending time with my family. We're boaters when we can be, whether it's up here in Cleveland or down in Florida, anywhere, around the country. But those are some of kind of my favorite things.
Yeah. I became a baker during the pandemic and started I love sweets. I started baking and cooking myself. The power of Google. I mean, I'm like a 5-star chef all of a sudden. But
the difference between baking and cooking is baking requires everything to be measured out to very precise, right measurements, and that's not for me. I'm more of a, hey, let's read 3 recipes, figure out how we make something special and fun, and turn it into something else. But it was the same thing. Friendsgiving, I remember in 2020 we had our small little group, and we sous vide a duck, and we deep fried it, and we deep fried a turkey for the first, and all these things that I never did before because we had time. And it was fast, and we had and enjoyed it. Now it's definitely part of who I am. So
you definitely got to separate from work and find some time for yourself, for sure. And so, but yeah, appreciate you coming on, sharing some insight. But any final thoughts for, folks looking to get into this profession before we wrap up?
No, I think it's fantastic to see everything that's happening, whether you're a top 50, a top 100, a progressive mid-tier firm, you're an entrepreneurial firm trying to build a unique practice from the ground up, technology at its core, so much going on, so many great people, so much passion. Find the right, place to kind of land. So Chris, appreciate your time today as well.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot.
Have a
Take
great
care,
one.
everyone. We'll be back soon. And for now, bye-bye.